If you're struggling to land a cybersecurity job, this might be why. Over 75% of job listings require hands-on experience with specific tools, not just theory, not just certifications. Employers want candidates who can actually use the security software they rely on every day. See, the sad thing is, most beginners trying to break into cybersecurity don't even realize this. They spend months studying concepts, memorizing frameworks, and collecting certifications, only to get rejected. Why? Because they have zero experience with actual tools. That's why, if you want to land a cybersecurity job and land it fast, you can't afford to ignore this. By the time you finish this video, you will know why tools are the #1 factor that determines who gets hired in cybersecurity, how automation changed the game, and why companies depend on security tools more than ever. How you, yes, even as a complete beginner, can start getting hands-on experience today. And this is how we're breaking this down. So we're starting with a little insight into the evolution of cybersecurity and why tools matter, what employers are really looking for, and how to stand out, the exact tools you need to learn based on your career path, how to get hands-on experience without a job, and how to become the star candidate during interviews using your knowledge of cybersecurity tools. It's going to be a packed session, and if you get any value by the time we are done, please don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button. Alright, let's run a scenario. Two pilots walk into a flight interview. Candidate A knows everything about aerodynamics, can explain how a plane works, and has passed all the written exams with flying colors. Candidate B also understands aerodynamics, but has actually spent hours in a flight simulator, logged hands-on practice, and can confidently land a plane in a rough weather. Who do you think gets hired to fly real passengers? Exactly. Cybersecurity works the same way. Companies don't just hire people who know cybersecurity, they hire people who can operate the tools that keep their business safe. Unfortunately, most people starting their career in fields like cybersecurity don't realize this until it's too late. They get certifications, they study for months, they apply for dozens of jobs, and they hear nothing back. Then they start seeing job postings asking for experience with ServiceNow, Splunk, Tenable, IBM Gordium, or AWS security, hands-on work with GRC tools, vulnerabilities, scanners, and SIEM platforms, right? Or familiarity with security automation, not just theory. Now, you've probably been there too, right? And that's usually the moment you realize you've been preparing the wrong way. But that changes today, okay? In the next few minutes, I will show you exactly how to build the skills that actually get you hired. And it all starts with understanding how cybersecurity evolved from manual processes to automation, and why mastering tools is non-negotiable today. Let's go back in time for a second. Cybersecurity wasn't always about SIEMs, firewalls, and AI-driven threat detection. Back in the early days, security professionals did everything manually. Log analysis was done line by line in terminal windows. Threat hunting was carried out by checking network traffic by hand. And even incident response, it was managed, right? Piecing together evidence from raw data. Often too late. It was slow, it was reactive, and even prone to human error. But then, attacks got faster, more complex, and harder to detect. Companies couldn't afford manual security anymore. And that was when cybersecurity evolved into a tool-driven industry. Today, as I speak to you, automation does the heavy lifting, and professionals who know how to use these tools are in demand. So if you look at any cybersecurity job listing, you will see a pattern. Employers don't just ask for security knowledge, they ask for tool expertise. Why? Because cybersecurity today is a fight between automation and attackers. Hackers automate attacks, and then companies automate defense. And you need to know how to use those defenses. So when companies look for cybersecurity professionals, they expect SOC analysts who know how to use SIEM tools like Splunk, IBM QRadar, or Microsoft Sentinel. Vulnerability analysts who understand how to run scans in Tenable Nessus, Qualys, or OpenVAS. GRC professionals who know compliance tools like Archer, ServiceNow, GRC, or Metric Stream. And pen testers who are familiar with Bob Suite, Metasploit, and Kali Linux like second nature. You will notice that this is not about whether you know cybersecurity. It's about whether you can use the tools of cybersecurity, okay? For a beginner, this is not great news, I know. Because your first thought is, I don't have a job experience, so I can't learn these tools. But that's wrong. Why? Because today, you can practice most security tools for free if you know where to look. Now, let me show you exactly how to do it. For SIEM tools, Splunk and Microsoft Sentinel have free versions. You can set them up and analyze real log. Vulnerability scanners like Nessus Essentials, they let you scan your own system for security flaws. And GRC platforms are not left behind. Open source tools like Eramba and Simple Risk, they allow you to build a real compliance program. So, availability is not the problem. My question to you is, how hungry are you for knowledge that has the potential to change your life? Yes. So if you're serious about landing a cybersecurity job, start learning these tools now. If you really don't know how refreshing and impressive it is when a beginner walks into an interview and says something like, yes, I've worked with Splunk. I set up a home lab and analyzed logs for failed login attempts. That's a candidate that is ready to work, not a newbie that company needs to train from scratch. Now that you know why cybersecurity is tool driven, let's talk about what tools you need to learn based on your chosen path, okay? And this is where most beginners waste time. They try to learn everything at once, only to end up overwhelmed, confused, or making no real progress. And see, there's really no point to learning tools if you can't get a job. We'll also talk about how tools and knowing how to use them can help you stand out during interviews very shortly, okay? For now, let's start simple. So let's break down these tools by career path so you know exactly which tools matter for your first cybersecurity job. Now, I will start with the SOC analyst role. A security operations center analyst is the first line of defense in cybersecurity. Your job is to detect, analyze, and then respond to security threats before they escalate. And for that, you need to know, first, security information and event management, popularly called SIEM. You need to know the tools. Now, these tools collect, analyze logs from across all organizations' network. Top SIEM tools to learn are Splunk. This one has a free version available, most widely used SIEM in the industry. Then we have IBM QRadar. A free community edition is also available, and it's a close competitor to Splunk. Another SIEM tool is Microsoft Sentinel. It's free with Azure credit, but this one is a cloud-native SIEM used by enterprises. Now let's talk about EDR, XDR tools. Not every cybersecurity happens on the network. Sometimes, hackers get in through endpoints like laptops, server, mobile devices, right? Now, if an attacker compromises just one, they can spread laterally across an organization. That's why companies use endpoint detection and response and extended detection and response, okay? The tools of these two to detect and stop threats before they escalate. You will need to know about these tools as a SOC analyst, okay? Now, the most popular ones are CrowdStrike Falcon. This is the most widely used option, and you will see it in job listings everywhere. If you want hands-on practice, they offer free trials. The other one is also Microsoft Defender for endpoint. If a company runs on Microsoft, which many do, they probably use this, okay? It integrates deeply with Windows systems and a good one to learn about, all right? And lastly, Sentinel-1. This is a strong AI-driven alternative that automates threat detection and response. And on the next one, let's talk about threat intelligence platforms, okay? Knowing how to respond to threats is great, but predicting and preventing them, oh goodness, that's what makes a SOC analyst stand out. Threat intelligence platforms give you real-time attack data. So you're not just reacting, you're staying ahead of the game. Some popular ones you may want to check out are Recorded Future. This one has a free section for live threat intelligence feeds. And there's also Virus Total. If you want to check if a file is malicious, all you need to do is upload it on this platform and then scan it against dozens of antivirus engines for free. Yeah. Another one is Alien Vault. Okay, Alien Vault OTX. This is a community-driven platform where security pros share real-world threats that they're seeing in the wild. Very cool platform as well. So, you know the popular tools now. But how do you gain hands-on experience with them? Simple. Start by setting up Splunk's free version on your home computer and practice ingesting logs. But there's more to do. You can also use VirusTotal and AlienVault TX to check for malware samples and then hunt for indicators of compromise. Then try Microsoft Sentinel's free Azure Sandbox. Use this to explore real cloud security logs. By the time you are done with all of this, you already be miles ahead of the competition. The second career path and tools you need is the vulnerability analyst role. A vulnerability analyst role is to find security weaknesses before attackers do. And to do that, you need the right tools. Instead of manually searching for flaws, these tools scan networks, applications, and systems to flag security holes. These tools include Tenable Nexus, right? Most professionals consider this the industry leader, and almost every security team uses it. If you're learning, grab the free version and then start scanning immediately. The next is Qualys. You can get a free trial of these two as well. It's a cloud-based platform that being used by large enterprises for continuous vulnerability management. And you may have also heard about OpenVAS. I particularly like this because it's free and open source. It's a great alternative to Nessus and even fantastic for practice if you want to avoid licensing costs. I get a lot of messages from people asking how they can break into cybersecurity. It's tough, especially if you're like how I used to be, stuck in a job that doesn't pay enough, or feeling like you've hit a wall. I get it. That is why I created something more than just these videos you're watching. Something structured, practical, and focused on real action. It's called the 5-day Cybersecurity Job Challenge. This isn't just content you'll binge and forget. We're talking hands-on learning, real skills, and daily guidance. 2 hours a day for 5 days. It's all designed to push you from thinking about change to actually making it happen. Look, I love making these YouTube videos, but let's be honest. How many times have you watched a great video, thought, I'm going to do something about that, and then didn't? That is why this challenge is different. It's designed to be your support. Okay, we're not just learning, you're giving tasks, actionable steps every single day with live Q&As where I personally help you avoid mistakes and land the jobs that will change your life. Watching my videos is great, but if you want to go beyond watching, if you're ready to take real steps toward a $250,000 career a year, come join the challenge. The link is in the description below. You can't miss it. Now, enjoy the rest of this video, but don't forget to come back when you're ready to take that next step. The next set of tools you need to pay attention to are configuration and compliance scanners. See, not all vulnerabilities come from hackers. Some are caused by misconfigured systems, and then that's where compliance scanners come in. Okay, you need to know how to use tools like Linux. Linux is free and open source, and particularly useful if you want to harden Linux servers. There's also SCAP. Okay, this is scanner which most professionals use to check systems against NIST security benchmarks. So if compliance is your jam, you should check this out. Lastly, for the vulnerability analyst role, you need to understand web application security simply because web apps are full of holes. Most cyber attacks target web applications. So knowing how to test for vulnerabilities makes you extremely valuable. For this, you need knowledge of tools like Bob Suite. And this has a free community edition that you can use to test how websites handle security. The other option is OWASP Zap. Okay, this is a very powerful open source tool that automates web vulnerability scans, and the best part is it is 100% free. So go check it out when you're done here. To get hands-on experience with these tools and build your skills, go use them. Now the next is install Nessus Essentials, okay, and scan your own system to find vulnerabilities. Use Bob Suite's free edition to test web applications for weaknesses, and then run OpenVAS on the test system and practice real-world vulnerability assessment. The more you practice with these tools, the more job ready you actually become. I hope you're paying close attention because we are not done yet. Now let's switch gears for a moment. Not every cybersecurity job is about hunting hackers or scanning networks. Some professionals play a different but equally important role. They keep companies compliant, they reduce legal risk, and then they ensure security policies are actually followed. That is where the third career path we're looking at comes in, the GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. Okay, GRC analysts, they don't just protect systems, they protect businesses from fines, lawsuits, and reputational damage. And just like SOC analysts and vulnerability analysts, they rely on tools to do their job as well. GRC analysts don't track risk in Excel sheets. They use dedicated platforms that automate policy enforcement, risk management, and audit tracking. And the biggest names in the industry are RSA Archer. This is a paid tool, but widely used by major corporations for compliance tracking and risk management. If you see Archer experience preferred on job listings, this is why. The next is ServiceNow GRC. This one is built for large enterprises to automate security and compliance and connect with IT operations. And then Metric Stream. It's a powerful risk and compliance platform used by regulated industries like finance, healthcare, and tech. I have another video on the platform where I talked about getting hands-on experience with paid tools. You can check the description for the link to that as well. However, if you're not working at a company with expensive GRC software, no worries. There are free alternatives that let you practice risk and compliance management even right now. We have the likes of Iramba. It's an open source compliance tool that helps you track security, policies, audit, and control gaps. And also Simple Risk. This is a risk management platform that lets you practice risk assessment without needing a corporate license. So these tools might not be as feature-rich as enterprise GRC platforms, but for building real-world skills, they are perfect. Once again, the next thing is how to get real GRC experience even as a beginner. So what do? Start by setting up Simple Risk or Iramba and create a basic risk management workflow. Okay? As a GRC analyst, you don't just need tools, you need to understand frameworks too. So read through ISO 27001 and NIST 800 controls to understand how security policies are structured. Then look at job descriptions for GRC analysts and take note of which tools and frameworks companies expect. Okay? And that brings us to the fourth and final career path and the tools you will use, and that is penetration testing or ethical hacking. Penetration testing is all about finding and exploiting security weaknesses before hackers do. So if you want to be a pen tester, you need tools that help you scan for vulnerabilities, exploit them, and generate reports. The must-know tools for penetration testers are recon and information gathering tools. These are the ones you use before hacking to gather intelligence. Some popular ones in this category are Nmap, okay? And this is used to find open ports in network scanning. And it's automated open source intelligence for gathering intelligence. And last in this category is the Harvester. You use this tool to collect emails, subdomains, and usernames. The second set of tools you need in ethical hacking are exploitation and attack tools. Once you find weaknesses, these tools help you break in. Popular examples are Metasploit Framework for launching exploits, Bob Suite for web application security testing, and SQL Map, which automates SQL injection attacks on vulnerability database. The final stage of the hacking activities involve post-exploitation and privilege escalation. Once inside, how do you maintain access? There are tools for that as well. Now we have Mimikatz, which is used for extracting password and security tokens from Windows systems, Empire, a post-exploitation tool for maintaining control over hacked systems, and then Cobalt Strike, which is an advanced tool used in red team operations. For hands-on experience as a beginner, get your hands on Kali Linux. It comes preloaded with most of these tools, so install it and start practicing. Also, use Hack the Box and try HackMe for real-world penetration testing challenges. Then, set up a local vulnerable lab using tools like Metasploitable and Damn Vulnerable Web App, also known as DVWA. So that's the breakdown of 4 career paths and the tools you will need if you're looking to start your career in any of them. But now, there's an even more urgent question to answer. How do you go from practicing these tools to actually getting a cybersecurity job? Simple. You need to go from just telling an interviewer that you know how to use these tools to actually showing proof. And that is why you need a portfolio. So in the next few minutes, I will show you how to build a cybersecurity portfolio that impresses employers, how to use portfolio to dominate interviews, and the most common cybersecurity interview questions, and how to answer them like a pro. A portfolio is a collection of hands-on projects that prove your cybersecurity skills. Just in the same way you won't just hire a graphic designer just because they say they are good without seeing their past work. An employer wants proof of your capabilities. Your cybersecurity portfolio should typically have 3 to 5 projects that demonstrate your ability to use security tools, your problem-solving skills, and your real-world cybersecurity knowledge. And this doesn't look the same for all career paths. Either you're a SOC analyst, right? If you're a SOC analyst, employers expect to see proof like built a home lab with Splunk or ELK stack, where you show how you set up your SIEM and analyze real logs, investigated a malware sample, right? This describes how you use tools like VirusTotal, Wireshark, or Yara to detect a malware infection, and also proof of responding to a simulated cyber attack. Here, you include the documented process of how you detected and responded to an incident. And if you're a pen tester, ethical hacker, right? Hiring managers like to see how you hacked a vulnerable machine on Hack the Box. Here, what you need to do, show your processes of finding and exploiting vulnerabilities. Also, how you performed web application security tests using, for example, Bob Suite to find security flaws in a test website. They also want to see how you created a phishing simulation. Maybe you demonstrated social engineering awareness by setting up a phishing test, right? All of these are perfect for your portfolio, and these are all things you can do even as a beginner. And if you're aiming to become a GRC specialist, hiring managers want to see how you conducted a security risk assessment using tools like Simple Risk or Eramba to track risk, created an incident response plan by designing step-by-step security response plan for a company, and maybe even map the company's security controls to a compliance framework like NIST, CSF, ISO, or SOC 2. Now, at this point, I should tell you that having this project is one thing. The real impact comes from how you present them. You need to make sure that your portfolio doesn't just sit in a folder. If no one sees your work, it doesn't exist. Fortunately, there are a few ways to get your portfolio in front of the right eyes. Option number 1 is using a personal website. This is the best for visibility, and you can use GitHub pages, Notion, or WordPress to create a simple portfolio site. So include screenshots, step-by-step explanations, and then results. Then write about what you learned from each project. Option 2 is a GitHub repository. This is more suitable for technical roles. All you need to do is create a repo with your project, logs, or scripts. Write a README file explaining each project. All right. Include any code, configurations, or report that you created. Then for option number 3, use LinkedIn and Medium blog. I recommend this for positioning yourself as a thought leader. Simply post case studies of your project on LinkedIn or Medium. Explain how you solved a security problem. See, recruiters love candidates who can break down complex topics. So those are 3 highly effective ways that your portfolio isn't just sitting around, but getting you the kind of attention that you're looking for. But that's not all your project can do. Your portfolio is a vital talk point during interviews too. Now let's check out some common interview questions and how you can answer them. If an interviewer says, "Tell me about a security challenge you solved," a perfect answer making reference to your project would be, "I built a security monitoring lab using Splunk. I set up a simulated attack using Kali Linux, detected it in my logs, and wrote an incident report on my findings. This helped me understand how real-world SIEM alerts work." See, another popular one is this. How do you handle log analysis? You could say something like, "In one of my projects, I collected logs from a Windows machine, analyzed them using ELK stack, and identified failed login attempts from a brute force attack. I then built an alert rule to detect future attempts automatically." It could even be a question as simple as, "How would you handle a ransomware attack?" You can prove that you don't just know theory, you've tested it by saying that, "In my portfolio, I did a case study on ransomware. I simulated an attack in a virtual environment, analyzed network traffic with Wireshark, and created a response plan. My key takeaway: regular breakups and endpoint security are critical." See, these 3 questions and answers are perfect examples of how practicing with tools and documenting what you learn can make you a more viable candidate in any interview. All right, guys. So we've covered everything you need to go from beginner to being a star candidate during interviews. This is the action plan you need to work with starting today. Pick a cybersecurity role, SOC analyst, pentesting, GRC, or anyone you like. Learn the tools that employers expect you to know, and then build a real-world cybersecurity portfolio, be it home labs, GRC project, or SIM logs. Then use your portfolio to crush your next interview. Don't just list certifications. Prove your skills by making reference to what you learn using these tools. I'll be waiting to hear how this goes for you, and if you find this valuable, please do two things. Drop a comment below. What's the number one cybersecurity tool you're learning right now? Okay? And then hit like and subscribe, because this is just the beginning. More cybersecurity career insights are coming soon. I hope I've been able to leave you better than I met you today. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.